Shall I choose someone? Christina, you want to just discuss your idea?
I knew that. Our idea was to compare how Perugia changes during the festival. Oh, thank you. Our idea was to compare how Perugia changes during the festival. So we'd like to compare, to combine a pie chart and a map of Perugia with the shares of the booked and the empty apartments inhabited by the local population and inhabited by Airbnb guests and other people from outside. So you would have the pie chart with this with the shares and the map visualizing these shares. So you would see with a button that enables you to change between during the festival and all the other weeks in the year. And then you would see that especially in the inner center of Perugia, the share of the flats inhabited by the local population changes rapidly, I would suppose. This was our idea.
Good example on how to come up with an idea, and then you could extend it with year by year, because the festival has grown, and then you would have a whole series. And depending on the story, these angles make it interesting. There was a recent story about Airbnb versus Berlin, which made the rounds, and another one about the salaries or the income of Uber drivers in New York versus medallion cab drivers. And the medallions for the cabs in New York are normally sold for $1 million, but they make less than the Uber drivers. So, you know, we have these shifts, these data shifts. You were working quite intensely. You want to share your idea?
Yes, probably. Well, we had two. Can I share two? One was to track the changes of people connected to technical devices. So we were thinking that our grandparents were connected to a couple of them. Well, maybe grandparents. And then our kids will be connected to tablets straight away, probably. So to show on the line chart the population of the Earth and then technical devices, but also make another typical representation of a generation, how he's connected to technical devices, and then track it generation by generation. Another idea is more political and more gender equality one, to make a map of the world where one small dot will represent, for example, 10 women in the parliament, and so show how is it changing during years in a world map, so that you can push the play button and it's changing. That's it.
Why would you do that?
That was not my idea, so probably the partner will answer.
That was the how and the what?
To make, I don't have any voice, but to get awareness of how things are proceeding in different parts of the world and get the global overview. And knowledge of maybe things that you don't know, how things are proceeding in some African countries or whatever.
There's one thing, what we try to argue for, start with simple charts and add the work map later, because it might be 3 to 5 to 1 day more work, hours of work, because you can do quite a lot with the bar charts and adding bar charts, like the first decade, the second decade, third decade, and still have the same meaning in an easier way to share. It's easier to produce for even without high technical use. Otherwise, it's an interesting idea with the movement. Okay. Because it's streamed.
Oh,
Okay. Third idea before we part.
I have not a visualization yet, but my idea was just to draw the migration trajectories of refugees in time and in space, and how many. I imagine a map of the world with some histogram, arrowhead histogram, showing trajectories of migrants, and the bigger is the arrow, the more migration, the more refugees are. And I don't know if it's possible to mark the peaks of migration in time with some event. So in this specific point, which is a peak, there is this specific event. Just.
I'm not absolutely sure it's about Italian immigration or refugees around the world. Okay, but that is not that far away from what Gregor showed with the housing prices. You can do it as a line chart over time and cover 100 years of refugees. And the point of what we tried to say is, yes, there can be a map, of course, but in the first stages, it might be much more straightforward to first, you show this line of migration, even several lines from Europe, from Southeast Asia, and so on, so in this chart. And then you, as Gregor said, you go down with a pen and tell the story to someone and make a decision about your annotation points. Like Second World War, Great Famine in Ireland, which resulted in a lot of people going from Ireland, people leaving Germany for the US in 1850. So you can tell these stories. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would just want to add something about because the world maps are so famous, like everyone wants to do it. But when you have a story or a data set that is about people, about humans, then a world map might be difficult because you have those like tiny spots in the world where you have millions of people, and then you have like vast lands with nobody. And this makes it kind of hard to do it because if you just use a geographic map and you would like, for instance, color each country by some data value, then you would have like this huge Russian area, but like Belgium you wouldn't even see. Even though it's like 12 million people in Belgium, and they're like not unimportant just because they're like on a higher population density. So with those maps you have to do like invest more thinking how to do it, and there's like different ways that you can do it, but as Mirko said, in a bar chart you don't have, or in a simple chart you might have a solution that is easier to see. So you would come up to like a first iteration and see if this is like something that might be worth proceeding, or it's maybe sometimes there's nothing in the data. You have an idea and you think, oh, that might show that this crazy trend is happening that I suspect, but sometimes the data tells us like otherwise. Sometimes it's just boring and it's just what we expect.
It's kind of trusting the data. A line chart is boring as long as it doesn't show data that relates to you or me. Yeah, and once it has this data, you start being interested in leaning over it. Yeah. Oh, is that true? Is that my hometown? Oh, yeah. But you need to get to that point. So you don't need the dress up of the map that much when you get closer to the story. And you can produce these basic chart types much quicker. And I think what Gregor said, this narrative element, first phase, second phase, third phase, is always helpful because with the housing boom or any other thing, everything that is older than 4 years, people have forgotten when exactly it was. They don't know when the Olympics were. Is it 2012? No, 2013 is impossible. Was it 2010? Yeah, they don't know. So you're always in an advantage when you are going back in time for like 15, 20 or 100 years. People will have a look to check. So you have these seconds of attention. And you can tell it with simple charts. That's maybe the core takeaway. Okay, anything else? I think looking at the watch, being in Sangallo, maybe some of you people want to change back to other events up in the city. Thank you very much for coming. Hope to see you again for the other events of the School of Data. It's the next one, so nobody's leaving. Everybody stays put.
In an hour.
Okay, yeah. You want to say that into the microphone?
All right, so if you're interested to stay over for the next event is in an hour at 6, and it's about telling stories with maps. So we will have Padrina, one of our fellows with School of Data, and she's a mapper. She's actually a professional mapper. So if you have questions, something that you always wanted to know about maps and never got the chance to ask, come at 6.
Thank you very much.